think so. Doing another one after 24 hours of having the first one here from Spain last night. It's Sunday now, 7 p.m. here. What time is this? Central. Just adjust this a little bit because it's a little too bright somehow here. My ring light. Is it? Maybe it's good. Maybe it's good. I had a glass of wine last night. This is alarming, EJ. Oh my God. I gotta adjust this tripod thing here. I don't know why this is like. Here we go. Hope it's straight. Okay, so as promised, wanted to have another one, and this scheduling worked much better than the one yesterday. I gotta look at that dot. Yeah, I know. It's hard because you're not supposed to stare at the in the middle of the camera. Yeah, that's right. Anyhow, so another live. Yesterday was my first from Spain, and today another one. It's been a pretty good day. First of all, weather has been great, and which gives me that mental boost that I want, that clarity. And what did I do? I hit the gym this morning. A short clip, like a 30-second clip on my Instagram account if you want to go take a look at that. And then I worked, ate, recorded a longer YouTube video, which is now on my channel, published, and now here at this live. So, and today I wanted to talk about actually one thing, or a couple of things. I'm actually reading comments from yesterday. Let me see here what people are commenting. I'm sorry. It's just like, 3 people online. So how's it going, guys? So happy Sunday. It's Father's Day in Finland today. Since I'm a dual citizen, I guess I get to celebrate Father's Day twice in the US and in Finland. Pretty cool, huh? And yeah, and I recorded the thing that I talked about yesterday in my live was the thing that I made my long video about today, meaning the guilt that many parents feel about, when you, so to say, look after yourself, when you're selfish. Are you allowed to be selfish? Are you allowed to take care of yourself? And my trip here is a good example of that. I had to say no to that stuff over there. My kids, who, yes, are older, but still, I have this sense of obligation. And oftentimes, the reason why it's hard for us is that overall no is hard. We are yes people. We want to please others. And it's typically always, according to my theory, because of the deep insecurities. We look for that external validation and verification. And why do we need external validation? Is because we can't give it to ourselves. So if you think about people, yesterday in this live, I introduced or talked about this Dr. Ellis's 3 layers of blame concept again. So if you think about the innermost circle of, those people who don't blame anybody else or the circumstances, they always look themselves in the mirror. What's typical for those people is that they are very critical over themselves. They don't think they are worth that much, or if they don't accomplish extraordinary results, they really feel down and whatnot. So the reason behind that, never-ending need for external validation and verification is the fact that you can't give it to yourself. You think that you're not worth anything. So how do you fix that? And I've been thinking about that a lot because I'm a victim of that. But before I go there, the thing that I started thinking about is that, like any quality, and again, this is something I've said many times in the past, like any quality in life, or any character trait, if you will, I don't believe in strengths and weaknesses, because if I have a flaw in this context, the same flaw can be my superpower in another setting or in another domain, so to say. No matter how traumatic your childhood was, you developed some extraordinary skills as a result. Yeah, it traumatized you, and you had some things that are impacting you for the rest of your life. Obviously, then it's our obligation to take care of those. And who am I to say what people go through? Of course, there are bad stories and there are less bad stories. But the point of that is that every single character trait can be a superpower, it can be a flaw, it can be a weakness. And people who are very critical of themselves, like me included, we don't really blame anybody else. It's hard for us to give credit to ourselves. And that's why we oftentimes end up saying yes to things, so that we need that external validation and verification from others, because we are so hard on ourselves. So maybe I just help my neighbor, maybe I help my brother or my family member, so that if they could give me that high five and, hey, like, you know, you did a good job and you're such an excellent professional in this or that. And we probably never get that, because these people are so used to us giving them or doing them favors all the time. You know what I mean? So that's really the thing there. But on the other hand, even though this could be a toxic quality, I also believe that many people, the reason why they blame others is just to simply feel better themselves. But the so-called winners in business and in life overall, we blame ourselves just to get better. Because ultimately, if you think about life, it's just this never-ending journey of trying to improve all the time. You know, how do I get better? How do I just relentlessly get better? And if you think that's valid, then just you don't have any time to point fingers at others. You know, that's just the way it works. It's the way it works. I'm looking at comments that people are making. There's a comment. There's a comment about why not turning this into a 30-day Spain getaway, and then you can talk about what you have done each day, like a journal diary. Day 4 Spain getaway, 30 to 40 minutes, daily recap plus random topic, 32 minutes. Yeah, that's a great idea. Have some lighter, casual conversations, topics. Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm actually going to start right now. So that was the heavy topic in the beginning. So if you want to get better in life, if you want to achieve your goals in life, whatever that means, I mean, maybe some people have very modest goals and that's fine. But if you are on the aggressive side as far as goal setting goes, if you want to get better, if you want to make money, if you want to do this, if you want to do that, I mean, achieve something that's more than the 90% of the population, then there's no other way but to learn how to, so to say, blame yourself. Or it's not about blaming, it's about being in control, right? I'm in charge. You know, I cannot blame anybody else. I'm actually the one who's the so-called boss of this situation, and I can influence the outcome. That's what it boils down to. So call it blaming, call it being in control, being in charge, but stop blaming others. Take responsibility so that you can get better. The so-called losers in life, they always blame somebody else, the circumstances or other people, so that they feel better. Because ultimately, people who are venting, they feel bad. I mean, we should feel sorry for them more than anything. Honestly. But again, so regarding that topic, that A Positive Lifestyle commented about journaling. So I'm victim of this too. I'm here to admit my flaws and basically be super open about what goes wrong, what goes well. And traffic and me, it's not a good combination usually. I'm a pretty emotional guy. Every time I'm driving, I basically make the mistake. I'm victim of blaming others, so to say. So if people don't drive the way I drive, I'm like automatically thinking they are idiots. And there's this old saying that goes something like this: everybody who drives slower than you is an idiot, and everybody who drives faster is a maniac. You know? So the whole idea being that, okay, if you don't behave exactly the way I do in traffic, you're either an idiot or a maniac, meaning you're not worth anything. So better be like me, otherwise life is not worth anything. And this is just so typical for us because most of us, we try to convince other people to live their lives our way rather than having conviction in our own way of doing things. And I think that's just a fundamental flaw that many people have. Me included, by the way. And the story now. Here's the story. So I went to the mall. So I'm here in Marbella area in Costa del Sol, so like southern Spain, where the weather is the best in the continental Europe in winter. Sorry. So I go to this mall, and they had one exit was closed. So there was a long line of cars, only one lane. So everybody's waiting in line nicely, behaving, and then there's one guy who basically is half of his car is on the curbside, basically trying to bypass everybody. And then he comes to me, approaches my car, is alongside my car, then I'm like, okay, yeah, I should not have done that. I opened the window, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Dude, it's like for the back of the line. And then he starts shouting at me in Spanish, and I'm like, I don't speak Spanish, so I'm like, okay, giving him some hard time in English, but you know, and then after the fact, I analyze that. So as my emotions go high, and then after a minute or two, they go down again. And I'm like, okay, that was not very smart of me. But so why did I do that? So I'm guilty of the same thing that I just talked about, meaning losers blame others to feel better. If you think about it. So again, on the outer circle, do we have the drawing from yesterday? Yeah, you probably don't see it anymore. But outer circle, you have the circumstances, then you have others, and you know, people always blame somebody else, typically. Either the circumstances or other people. So I was victim of that same behavior yesterday. So when I blame that guy, I automatically assume that he's supposed to behave the same way or follow the same rules I follow in traffic. If not, he can be punished, right? So in other words, I don't understand how the world works. There are 8 billion people on this planet. There are 8 billion different ways of doing things or opinions. And me thinking that other people would behave the same way I do, react as quickly when the lights turn green, or use turn signal if not, or whatever, you know, doesn't matter. You understand my point. I'm just so naive. It doesn't work that way. So every time we get emotional about something, it's the exact same thing as us assuming that everybody else is supposed to behave the way we behave. So the thing about convincing versus conviction, how most of the people are trying to convince others to live life their way, I was guilty of that same thing. So we all make that mistake. But overall, I think I'm pretty good at putting the blame or being in control, being in charge, as far as looking at the innermost circle, which is I don't blame the circumstances, I don't blame others. I look myself in the mirror and say, okay, if I want to be a quote unquote winner, I have no other option but to stop blaming others and the circumstances and be in control. So in other words, if you want to use a provocative word, I blame myself to get better, because that's the only way. I mean, if you dodge the bullet every single time. I talked to a friend of mine today. She's a boss in a healthcare industry, and she was basically saying how certain team members were just, you know, disrespecting the way she was doing things, and like there was some bad blood behind the scenes and people stabbing each other in the back. But that's we had that conversation, a long one, an hour-long conversation. I basically said the same thing, that look, it's if we get emotional about something, it's us assuming that everybody's supposed to be like us. It doesn't work that way. We always get disappointed. Another thing about that. So I go from one topic to another. I go to the gym in the morning. So there's this really good gym in the middle of this residential area, but they have, like, because of, you know, parking is an issue. So there's like this kind of field, like an empty lot right next to the gym. And it's kind of like, it's not paved, there's no asphalt, so it's kind of like a dirt road. It's got, you know, big bumps. So this guy, a British guy, because how do I know? Because I heard him curse and swear and all that, you know, talk on the phone after the fact. He comes with his tiny car and he hits one of these bumps, and his front bumper or kind of like the lip, the spoiler, hits the ground, and it's like this nasty sound. You know, it's like, I don't know if he cracked it or whatever. I don't think he broke it, but anyhow, so he's like, he has his window open, and he's like, fuck this, fuck that, and of course blaming everybody else. And I started thinking that, okay, whose fault is that really? Okay, you could argue that the gym, who probably rented that piece of land right next to theirs, should be or is responsible for maintaining it, or maybe they own it. Well, if they own it, then it should be them, or maybe if they're renting it, maybe it's the owner of that piece of land. But then on the other hand, you could also argue that, okay, you make this right turn, there's this normal road, paved road, asphalt, and then you turn and you clearly know that it's kind of like, well, not like remote road, but it's like it's dirt and it's got it has bumps, and you've been there before. So if you go too fast, because that's really the bottom line, if you go too fast, you're gonna hit these bumps and you're probably gonna break your car. So whose fault is that? You're just gonna lose, I mean, it's gonna lose your mojo and you're gonna ruin your day if you blame somebody else. You could have driven slower. You could have kept your eyes on that quote unquote road and not hit that bump. So ultimately, it's your responsibility. It's nobody else. That's how I look at it. So if you're a winner, quote unquote winner, I hate this categorization, but still, you blame yourself, or you take control to get better. Or this guy, he blames everybody else. So that's a guaranteed way not to get better and stay stuck in life. So there's really no other option if you want to move forward and get something done, whether it's, I don't know what that is, you know, get better physically or mentally, or launch a business, or, you know, get a promotion or make more money at work. There's no other way but to just be in charge 100% and stop blaming everybody else and the circumstances. Because in a long enough time horizon, you always get what you deserve. That's how I look at it. It doesn't matter what happens in 1 year, in 6 months or 3 months. In a long enough time horizon, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, if you feel stuck today and if you're disappointed with your results, zoom out. There's no luck involved. If you talk about a year or 2 or 3, there is no luck. And it's like, okay, I always get what I deserve. If I'm good enough, I always get what I deserve. If you end up driving like that, you're gonna end up breaking your car, right? You always get what you deserve. Maybe, you know, 9 out of 10 times, you're gonna avoid that bump. But then 1 out of 10, you're gonna go too fast. You just don't pay attention, and then something happens, and then you blame everybody else. Does that make sense? I don't know, there's no right or wrong, but that's how I look at it. So that was a recap of today. So went to the gym, like suggested here, good points, and tying this to life lessons as well. But overall, I'm here. I wanted to change my circumstances and change my behavior, my perspective, and get a clear mind again, because I'm just, I guess, restless no matter where I go. And I don't know, I need to hop on a plane every couple of months just to feel connected to the world, so to say, and see the big picture and smell the opportunities, if you will, plus the weather aspect. Winter weather here is the different ballgame. Different ballgame. Anything we can talk about? Or do I feel too passionate with my rants? I'm not scary. Don't disagree if you want. Yeah, I was about to look at open this live here if there's on my laptop, because you know, when the camera is this way, the comments for some reason they don't stay on the screen. Okay, now I gotta mute this here. Yeah. Anyhow, it's very confusing because I see myself with a delay there. I gotta put that aside, and I don't want to look at my ugly face. Well, I already have to look at it there. So what else? So tomorrow is Monday. So I got a couple of things I need to do for my real estate business. There are some warranty repairs that I need to coordinate tomorrow. There's a sale of a couple of lots, a piece of land that I need to somehow jumpstart again. I need to talk to the real estate agent and pay some bills and all the fun stuff. But other than that, I'm gonna probably do another live tomorrow here, and I'm gonna create some shorts out of my long videos, and then probably plan my next one. I recorded. If you watch my content, go take a look at the one that I published today, uploaded. That video, it's probably 6.5 minutes, 7 minutes. And I did that without pretty much any prep. Oftentimes when I record a video, I basically start with some notes on a piece of paper like that. And then I basically put together the structure, like high level things, what I want to talk about. And then I basically read it out loud to ChatGPT and say, what do you think about this structure? And then I get some comments back, and then I make my changes. And then I copy paste the kind of like the text into a Word document. And if I'm in my office, I print it out, I put it on the wall. And I don't memorize anything, but I get the talking points right. And kind of like the sections and whatnot. There was a time when let's say if I had a 10 or 15 minute video, I did that in 5 or 6 different sections. And I didn't really, the reason why I started doing that, I think if I analyzed my own behavior, was that I tried to be perfect, which is one of my interesting character traits. Not always good. And, but I felt that it was too clean and too scripted together with the edits that my guy was doing. So I wanted to have those long videos feel more like live discussions, like raw and real and authentic. And I like the direction that I'm taking. I'm just doing them at one go. It's like if it's 8 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't cut it. I just like do it at one go. And usually it's just once or twice. Like today, I just did it. And there was very little prep, probably half an hour, max 60 minutes of like looking at my notes. I don't know if it made sense. So if you want, you don't have to, of course, it's up to you. But let me know if that type of a style made any sense, because it was less rehearsed. I don't know if it's any worse. Maybe it added value, maybe it didn't. But I'm thinking that I should do more of that kind of content going forward, where I try to be more raw and real and not worry about mistakes and not worry about pausing and whatnot. Because here I can just be super natural, but every time I like try to create that long video, that piece of content, I don't know, the pressure I guess goes up a little bit. And I feel that I have this, I don't know, be perfect. I mean, nothing is ever perfect, but so that's the thing. Yeah, it's still the same bottle that I opened yesterday, so I'm not drinking more than 1 glass per. Not that anybody is worried. I don't think my kids are watching anyhow, so they don't care. Yeah, and I don't have any visuals. That's the other thing with that video. I didn't have any visuals. So it was just me talking. And that's one change too. I do have my magnetic sheets with me that I could put on the wall, but the texture here in this apartment is the wall texture is pretty rough. It's not an even surface, so to say. I don't think it would look good, because if I had it on an uneven surface and then I started writing something, then you would see all the imperfections. And I guess it would look like a drunk person is writing something on the wall. But yeah, today was a good day, and my ankle is feeling better. I'm happy about that. And hopefully I can get back to training legs in a couple of days. I'm super, what's the right word? regarding my leg workouts, and this sounds so silly probably to somebody who doesn't train as actively as I do, or who's not as physically picky or particular, or you could also use a word insecure as me about his own physique. So I'm like, legs have always been hard for me because of, I've had some injuries back from the days when I played soccer or football, and then I mean, I've been naturally very weak, always. And legs have been, I'm tall, so there's a lot of leverage, if you think about mechanical leverage. So if you're tall, it's like long legs and all that. It's been hard for me. And now that I've had some injuries lately, it's kind of like the time off from training legs has been mentally hard. But anyhow, this is just noise. Nobody cares. This is in my own head. Just in my own head. Good times. We all have these peculiar habits, right? Somebody's very anal about, what's the right word? Dusting everything off, or vacuuming every day, or like we all want to do things a certain way and be picky about the things that matter to us. Yeah, plan for this week. No real plan. Live in a one-day cycle. What does it mean in practice, living in a one-day cycle? One-day cycle means that you just cut all ties to future self, future goals, future results, especially results. And you wake up, you ask yourself tomorrow morning, you wake up, you ask yourself in the morning, okay, what's today's signal? What's relevant? And then you identify that thing. No matter how many things are on your plate, you identify what is the thing that moves the ball forward the most. Then you do that. You complete that action, and your day was a success. But you don't expect that to carry over to tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, you're probably going to, wake up feeling like shit, or maybe not. Regardless of the feelings, you go through the same exercise. You ask yourself, okay, what's today's signal? What do I need to do? Everything else becomes noise, irrelevant. You ignore that, or you delegate that, or do it later. Again, same thing. You complete that action, carry it out, get the results, whatever they were. Did I empty my tank? You ask that question from you at the end of the day. If yes, again, that day was a success. The following morning, guess what? You start from zero. So you basically go from 0 to 1. That to me is living in a one-day cycle. It's done wonders. Probably the best productivity and happiness hack I can recommend to anybody. Try it out. So it requires you to cut all ties to all results. Short-term, mid-term, long-term. Because why worry about it? Because at the end of the day, you always get what you deserve. So you don't have to worry about it. It is what it is. So if you're not happy with your results in 6 months or 12 months, either you're not good enough, or it's just about to happen. So keep knocking on the door. Keep knocking on the door. And eventually somebody's going to open. If you're good enough. If you're not, then figure out a way to get better. Meaning, coming back to my topic from the beginning of the video, stop blaming anybody else. If you want to get better, it's all your fault. Always. Not a lot of activity today. That's fine. I understand people are busy, and I'm probably not their top priority, which is also understandable. Even though it would be nice if it was the other way around. Okay, what are we going to talk about? Does everybody want to call it a day? It's been half an hour. I don't mind hanging out here. We're going to talk about whatever. Yeah, yesterday after the live, I watched a hockey game. It's pretty much the only sport that I nowadays watch on, quote unquote, on TV. I watched it on my laptop. NHL hockey in the US. My son plays hockey. I think it's the most entertaining sport to watch on TV. if you're not watching it live. And I don't know, like I check the scores in every morning, but if there's a prime time game, European time, I probably tune in if I happen to be at home, if I don't have anything else. So maybe most of the time I just watch a period or period and a half, never really the whole game. Like last night, just, I fell asleep, I went to bed. But there's another game today in half an hour, so I'll probably tune in if this ends before that. If not, then no worries. But yeah, that's how TV hasn't been on my radar for, honestly. When I moved back to Europe 9, 10 years ago from the US, I have not watched TV at all, other than live sports. No political debates, no news, nothing. Okay, how do you keep yourself educated? Well, let me tell you this. I don't need to watch the news, which is complete bullshit, to keep myself educated. It's just, everything is just based on fear, basically, anyhow. So, and even if I don't watch the news, I just hear the same stories. I can't avoid that. It's just all over the place. But I decided not to, because it's just, I asked myself if I, the US presidential election is a good example. So people spend, I don't know, 50 or 100 or 200 hours watching these political debates on TV, worrying about something that doesn't even impact their life. Yeah, you could argue that, yeah, it makes a huge difference who the president is. I'm telling you, in practice, it doesn't. If you do your business, let's say in the worst case scenario, your tax rate goes from X to Y, let's say it goes from 20 to 30%. Yeah, it's a big blow for sure. But then at the end of the day, if you're good enough, if your business makes money, it doesn't make any difference. So then ask yourself, those 200 hours that you otherwise would have spent on political debates, could you spend those 200 hours maybe making your business better, or improving your personal life, getting in better shape, or something else? And the return on that investment is astronomical compared to watching what other people do and thinking that makes a big difference in your life. It doesn't. That's why I don't do it. Does it sound harsh? Maybe. But if you guys want to do it, that's fine. I have an opinion on everything, but it's just, if you really want to influence in politics, you need to figure out how to influence the other voters. One single vote doesn't count. But voting does matter, of course, but because people always say that it's your duty as a citizen to vote, because otherwise you can't complain. And I agree with that. I think that's a noble principle. But however, thinking that your vote matters is naive. If you really want to influence the outcome, then you got to figure out how to influence the voters. That's where the real game is. So you think about what Elon Musk did. I'm not saying good or bad things about Elon Musk. I'm trying to look at it very objectively. So think about what he did when it comes to the US presidential election. So he identified, typical for him, Pennsylvania as one of these states, typically as one of these 50-50 states. So then he looked at certain counties in the area, and then he basically put together an action plan and made sure that his volume was basically violent. So it was at a level unheard of or never seen before. He put so much money behind it that it was unreasonable for him not to win, right? And then that's what happened. So he basically influenced the voters in order to influence the outcome. So I think that's where the long game is. As far as politics go, not many people are in that position, obviously. I get that. So. No comments today. Okay. That's fine. We'll be back tomorrow. And I'm going to recap the day, which is a great idea. I'm going to introduce always one topic about what I've been thinking about, some of these mental models. And I think that's it. I'm going to be talking to you guys then tomorrow. I'm going to schedule that live for same time, 7 p.m. Hope that works, and then we'll go from there. Okay, thanks a lot. This was shorter today. Okay, take care. Have a happy Sunday. Okay.